For 3 years, I had an aloe vera sitting on my kitchen windowsill that looked like it was slowly giving up on life. Not dramatically dying, just quietly, persistently shrinking. Leaves going thin and papery at the tips. The whole plant kind of leaning sideways like it was trying to escape. And the thing is, I was doing everything right. Or so I thought. I watered it every week because that's what you do with plants. I had it right next to glass because sun equals growth, obviously. I even bought it a bigger pot so it had room to spread out. Every single intervention I made was, it turns out, the exact wrong move. And what finally brought that plant back, genuinely embarrassingly, was doing almost nothing. Less water, smaller pot, shadier corner. The aloe didn't need more of me. It needed less. And once I understood why, everything changed. So let's go through the 5 things that will actually make your aloe explode with growth. Because I promise you, at least 2 of these are going to make you say, oh, that's why mine looks like that. The first one is the big one, the one I got wrong for the longest time, and it's watering. Here's the thing, aloe vera is a succulent, which means it stores water in its leaves. That's what makes them thick and gel-filled and satisfying to snap open. But when you water it on a regular schedule, every week, every 5 days, whatever routine feels responsible, you are essentially forcing it to drink when it's already full. The roots sit in moisture they can't use, they start to break down, and the plant pulls that rot upward into the leaves. That's where the mushy, translucent, brownish base comes from. That's not a sick plant, that's a drowning plant. Real talk, I diagnosed mine as needing more sun for 2 full years before I realized the roots were completely rotted. The fix is the soak and dry method, and I mean that specifically. Water it deeply, really soak the soil until it drains out the bottom, and then wait until the soil is completely bone dry before you do it again. In summer, that might be every 2 to 3 weeks. In winter, we're talking once a month, sometimes longer. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If there's any coolness or moisture at all, you wait. That's it. That one change alone will transform a struggling aloe within about 6 weeks. Okay, now that we've sorted the watering, let's talk about light, because this is the one that trips people up in the exact opposite direction. Everyone assumes more sun equals better for a desert plant. And yes, aloe loves light, but direct, harsh sun through a south-facing window in summer will actually scorch the leaves. You'll see it as brown, dry, crispy patches, not at the tips, but in patches across the surface, almost like the plant got sunburned, because it did. What aloe actually wants is bright, indirect light, or direct morning sun, which is gentler. An east-facing windowsill is honestly ideal. If you're in a south or west-facing room, pull it back a foot or 2 from the glass. If you're still here and your aloe is still alive, hit subscribe. This is exactly the kind of stuff we break down every week, and there is so much more where this came from. Third secret, and this one is going to feel completely backwards. Stop repotting it so often. I know. The instinct when a plant looks stressed is to give it more space. More room for roots, more soil, more resources. That logic makes perfect sense. But aloe actually does better when it's slightly root bound. A pot that's too big holds way more moisture than the roots can absorb, which brings us right back to that rot problem. You want a pot that's only about 1 to 2 inches wider than the root ball. And here's the bonus tip inside this tip. Use terracotta instead of plastic or ceramic. Terracotta is porous, which means it breathes, which means excess moisture evaporates through the walls of the pot. It's basically built-in insurance against overwatering. I switched all my succulents to terracotta about 3 years ago, and the difference was genuinely shocking. If you've done this, bought a giant pot thinking you were being generous, you are not alone. This is probably the second most common aloe mistake after overwatering. Now, let's talk about soil, because this one matters more than most people realize. Standard potting mix holds moisture. That's literally what it's designed to do: retain water and feed moisture slowly to roots over time. For most plants, that's great. For aloe, it's basically slow suffocation. What you want is a mix that drains fast and dries out fast. A cactus and succulent mix from any garden center is a solid starting point. But honestly, I mix in about 30% perlite, those little white volcanic beads, to make it even faster draining. Think of it like this: regular potting soil is a sponge that holds water. Perlite is like adding gravel to that sponge. The water moves through instead of sitting. Your aloe's roots want to drink, dry out completely, and then drink again. They are not designed for a consistently moist environment. Before we wrap up, I'd actually love to know. Drop a comment and tell me what your aloe situation looks like right now. Is it stretching? Is it mushy at the base? Is it just kind of stalled? Because the answer to that almost always points directly to one of these fixes. Fifth secret, and this one took me the longest to actually act on, is fertilizer, or more precisely, less of it, and only at the right time. A lot of people fertilize their aloe regularly because that's what you do for a plant you want to grow, but over-fertilizing actually causes a buildup of salts in the soil that damages roots and can cause the leaf tips to go brown and dry. Aloe is adapted to grow in nutrient-poor soil. It doesn't need much. What actually works is a diluted succulent fertilizer, half the strength recommended on the label, once a month, only during spring and summer. From October through February, nothing. The plant is resting. It's not in active growth. Feeding it during dormancy is like waking someone up at 3 a.m. to eat a full meal. They don't want it, they can't use it, and you've just made everything worse. And this ties back to something we said at the beginning. The pattern here, across all 5 of these tips, is that the instinct to do more is almost always the wrong call with aloe. Less water, smaller pot, faster soil, less fertilizer. The plant wants to take care of itself. Your job is mostly to not interfere with that. Here's what happened with my kitchen windowsill aloe, the one that spent 3 years quietly suffering. I moved it to a terracotta pot about 2 inches wider than its roots. I mixed up a batch of cactus soil with perlite. I moved it off the direct sun windowsill to a spot about a foot back where it gets bright morning light, and I stopped watering it on a schedule and started checking the soil instead. 6 weeks later, it had put out 2 new leaves. 3 months later, it was producing offshoots, little pups growing up from the base. My neighbor, who I had specifically asked not to comment on my plant situation anymore, walked in and said, "Okay, what did you do to that thing?" And what I did was almost nothing. I just finally understood what it was asking for. That's the thing about aloe vera, and honestly, about most plants that are known for being hard to kill. They're not fragile, they're just misunderstood. The information is this simple: bone dry between waterings, bright but indirect light, small terracotta pot, fast draining soil, half-strength fertilizer, spring and summer only. That's it. That's the whole code. And now you have it. Go check your aloe right now. I genuinely think one of these 5 things is going to explain everything.